Hello everyone, in today's video I'm going to show you how to customize Hyprland and make it look like this. Okay, before I start, there are GUI auto installers in the description down below. You can get access to them from the Patreon page. You can definitely go there and check it out. And also, it goes a long way to support open source development under Next. To know more about this, click the I button above or check the links provided in the description below. You will also get access to the entire wallpaper pack with up to 8K resolution. So first things first, let us start by installing all the required dependencies. Let us launch the terminal for the same reason, and I actually don't really remember what are the required dependencies, so I'll just launch the auto installer again. So here we have the required dependencies. Now this is our terminal, so sudo dnf install Rofi, Hyprland, Waybar, kitty. Hyprpaper needs to be installed separately because it's not directly available in Fedora. Now I'm using DNF because I'm on Fedora. If you want to use a different, if you are on a different operating system, you have to use its respective package manager. For example, if you are on Ubuntu, you need to use apt. So I guess you already know this. Now I have already installed them. I need not install again, but anyway, I'll just show you again for the sake of this video. So wait for a few seconds. And as you can see, all the packages are already installed. Okay, for Hyprpaper, we need to open the web browser. So let's open Firefox and search for Hyprpaper. So this is on GitHub, already available on GitHub. So you will get all the installation instructions from here itself. So just install all the dependencies. For example, here on Fedora, you need to install all these. I've already done it. And then you need to build it by just cd into the directory. Okay, first you need to get this git clone, this URL from here. Just copy this and clone this repository, and then inside the folder or the directory, you need to run this. Not this, this. So it will install after the running of all these. And there is also a default configuration of Hyprpaper. It has a lot of comments and all, so you will be able to understand it in a better manner. But anyway, I've shown this in the later part of my video. So that is all for the installation. Let's close this. Yeah, now let's get the theme. So we are going to need a Gruvbox theme. So just search for Gruvbox GTK and you will get the theme. It's available on gnomelook.org. The installation is pretty simple. Just download it from here. Download the zip file that you will get. So download the bordered edition, not the borderless edition. We need the bordered edition. Download it. And after it is done, I already have it probably. So here we have the Gruvbox dark B. Just extract this and then the installation is pretty simple. Just open evolve in order to install the theme and install new, head over to downloads, and as you can see, you have the Gruvbox dark B available here. Click and install, it will install the theme. I already have it installed, so I'm not going to do it again. I'll just apply Gruvbox dark B from here. Apply, done. As you can see, it's applied throughout the system. Now, you might notice it is not applied to the Files app because it was already running. So if I launch a different application which is in GTK4, for example this, that is settings, it is applied properly. So yeah. Okay, let me also show you how to get evolve, because you are going to need evolve for this video. Make sure you have it installed. It's pretty easy. Again, just go to your web browser and search for evolve GTK manager or theme manager, and you will get this repository on GitHub. It's actually an application which is made by me. You can definitely go and support me on Patreon. The links are available in the description below. It goes a long way in supporting open source development for Linux and make such awesome applications accessible to the public. So yeah, you can get it from here. Here we have the version 1.3.1 release. So it is the latest version. It has a lot of bug fixes also. If you want the other one, which is, you can also check the other websites here. This is the official Nex website where I post all the stuff. Head over to all posts, and okay, I forgot to post the release page for Evolve 1.3 on Nex. The best you can do is head over to Patreon. It's available for free on Patreon. If you have an account, you can join Patreon for free and download the Evolve GTK theme manager from there. So in the recent posts, here we have the Evolve version 1.3.1. Or you can also get access to the public release of Evolve. That is the 1.3 edition from here. It's pretty simple. You just download. Download this zip. I already had it, and let me show you. Just open this and run install.sh. It will do all the work for you and install it. Now I'm showing you for version 1.3, but by the end of this video, I will release, not by the end of this video, but probably after a few days, I'm going to release a new version of Evolve. So make sure you get the latest release of Evolve so that you get access to all the features. Okay, let's continue. Okay, now we have installed the theme successfully. Now let us also install the icon pack from here itself again. I'll just search for Gruvbox Plus. Oops, sorry. So Gruvbox Plus. And here we have the Gruvbox Plus icon pack. Head over to the release page and choose the latest version. I think the Gruvbox Plus color icons, I think the color of the Gruvbox Plus icons and the icons in general look much better than the original version of Gruvbox. So I'm going to use this. There we have the extracted files. Just wait for a few seconds for the files to be extracted, and next we can just open Evolve again, and you can just install new, head over to downloads, click on, this is done, install, wait for a few seconds, and that is all done. Now we can just head over to the icons page, and here we have the Gruvbox Plus dark icons installed properly. So just click on it and it will be applied. Now I don't know why that weird thing just came right now, but I'm inside a virtual machine, so I guess that is the reason. But anyway, it doesn't happen in normal installations. So here we have the nice icon pack which is applied properly. Now you will notice that it is not applied to the shell theme. It was applied previously because it was on my main PC, but right now inside a virtual machine because I just could not install a proper screen recorder to record everything inside Hyprland. The screen recorder I used was recording everything very weirdly, and WF recorder was very glitchy. So this was the only option left. Also, I can just show you that I'm logging out and back in, and it will be much better, I guess, this way. So there we log out and change this to Hyprland and enter your password to log back in. Okay, after you log into Hyprland, the first thing that you are going to notice is this, that you are using an auto-generated config and some shortcuts which you are going to need. One of them is Kitty, which can be launched by the mod plus Q button together, and that is basically the terminal. Here you go. And there are also some other important shortcuts. Let me also talk about them. That is mod plus R, which launches this one. That is Rofi. From here you can launch any other application. For example, here we have Firefox launched, and if you want to close it, you can just go for super plus C. Sorry for the wrong terms, but anyway, I guess you can understand. Now, if you want to convert a window into a floating window, you can also do that by pressing super plus V, and you can move a window around by super plus drag and moving it around here and there. Again, if you press super plus V, it will again convert back into the tiled window option. Now again, if I hold super and try to drag it, it will realign itself accordingly based on where you will be leaving the window. Okay, we have covered the first part, talking about some of the basic shortcuts. Also remember that super plus E will launch the file manager. By default, it is using Dolphin, so if you are using the workstation version of Fedora, like I'm using, I installed KDE separately, so I have Dolphin. You might not have Dolphin, so it won't be launching this initially. The best thing that you can do if you don't have Dolphin installed is either install Dolphin using Kitty if you want to use Dolphin, or like I did, I didn't use Dolphin and switched it with Nautilus because I just like GNOME apps more since they look much better. Now you might have a different personal choice, but if you want to use KDE apps, then you need to apply the equivalent theme to the KDE apps, like I did with GNOME. That is the Gruvbox theme. Okay, let's continue with the video, and let's close all the unnecessary windows and just go for super plus R. We can run the file, then we need to open the .config, hyper, and inside hyper we are going to open hyprland.conf. Now, the first thing you will notice is auto-generated is turned on, which is 1. I'm going to turn it off, which is going to remove this pretty annoying message on the top part. The rest of the part inside the config is pretty straightforward. It's basically like assigning variables in a programming language, except for the fact the variables are actually stuff which you can change and tweak accordingly. They are like keywords. So here we have the gap in, which is basically meant for controlling the gaps between windows. So I can turn it up crazy to show you the difference. For example, this is 50, and if I run other applications, they will have the same amount of gaps between them. So let me close it and let's go back to normal. Again, for the gap out, it is actually the gap between the monitor and monitor edge and the window edge. So even if I turn it up crazy like 90, you will notice the edge gap increases. Border side, again, pretty self-explanatory. So if I increase the border size to something crazy, you will notice this, which is basically the increased border size. For the time being, it's best to keep it at 2. Okay, enough of these things. Now let us change this one, which is the file manager set to Dolphin. I'll just switch it to something else, that is Nautilus. Done. Now whenever I press the super plus E, it will now open Nautilus by default. Now you might have noticed already that I need not refresh or do anything to Hyprland in order to apply the changes. It's pretty much like Flutter's hot reload. I don't know if I should be comparing, but yeah, it's similar to that. You basically save it and it reloads automatically like we get in Android Studio. Now, these do not provide you with the extensive list of the stuff that you can do, but they do have a very good documentation of Hyprland. So just head over to Firefox, like I did, and if I just search for basically master Hyprland, here we have the master tutorial, and here we have all the variables and everything. So if I head over to variables, you can see all these things, how you can define them or not. Okay, before we continue, let me also show you how you can convert a tiled window into floating window. For example, this is currently tiled. These windows, I can just convert the file manager window into a floating window, and this is how it would be looking like. Now I can move it by pressing the super key and dragging it. I probably explained this earlier, but anyway, I'm telling you all again. So you can move it, and if I want, I can resize it too by pressing the right click on my mouse and along with the super key on my keyboard. So this is how it works. Okay. For switching between workspaces, like I'm doing sometimes to check if the recording is working properly or not, because sometimes the recording just fails and it is really difficult because this is probably the third time I'm shooting for the same reason. recording for the same reason. But anyway, that is basically super plus 1 will switch to the first workspace, super plus 2, second, third for 3, fourth for 4, and it continues. So let's switch back to super plus 2, and this is the page in the second workspace. Now, if you want to remove this, move it to the third workspace, you can basically hold the shift and press the button in which you want to move it. For example, I want to move it to the third workspace. This is how it happens. It moves to the third workspace. So this is second, first, second, third, second. That is how it looks like. Okay, let's go back and bring this back to the second workspace. Okay, make it tiling again. And let us change a number of other stuff. Now, before we continue, it's important to change the active border. It's currently using a gradient that looks like this, angled at 45 degrees. We're going to remove all of these and replace it with something that represents more of the Gruvbox color scheme. Now, for this, I need something else. That is the color picker. So here we have the color picker, and let's change the values accordingly and check it out. Okay, I think this is enough. Copy, paste. Now change the EE to FF, which is going to basically make it completely opaque. Nice. I don't think we need to change the inactive color, but we can do it anyway. Now, if you think you want to change the opacity further, what you can do is search for hex code color opacities and check this out on GitHub, and we can select something from here. For example, let us go for 36%, that is 5C. I'll just replace this portion with 5C, save it, and as you can see, the opacity decreases further. Now I can change it further to something else like 26, which is going to reduce it further down. So this is how 26 looks like. Okay, here my recording crashed. So while editing, I couldn't find this file, but let me show you how you can get the default Kitty config. So I found this website which contains the sample Kitty config. Else you can also generate the config file, the default config file too. That is also possible. But if you don't want to do all those, you can just head over to this website and get the sample kitty.conf. Now after downloading, this is the kitty.conf. Just load it, and we are going to edit it a little bit, especially for the background. Let's search for opacity. So here we have the background opacity. So just changed it to 0.7. That is all you need to do. And save it. Not here, but you need to save it in home.config kitty. You need to create a directory named kitty and save it over there. The background opacity is set to 0.7. Now, as you can see, if I move back to kitty over here, it has actually changed the background opacity accordingly. Now, if I go back to hyprland.conf, I can actually go to blur and increase the size, which is going to increase the amount of blur. So if I launch another instance, you can see the blur is applied. But the problem is the blur looks very cheap, right? So in such a case, you have to increase the amount of passes. So I can increase the passes to be 3, and the size need not be so much. You can just set it to be around 10. Now we have a very smooth looking blur. To make this more noticeable, I'm going to change the wallpaper. So that also needs to be done. Now what you can do is add a bit of other parameters. That is, okay, let us open the Firefox, and here are the blur related stuff. We have vibrancy and vibrancy darkness. So I'll just change the vibrancy value to something like 0.5 and change the vibrancy darkness to 0.5, and then I'm going to save it. Now this is much more noticeable, but I think it will be a bit too much. I think 0.5 in both suits better. Now if I change the wallpaper, it will be more noticeable. But the wallpaper isn't really optimized for blur, so I don't really look how it would go with the design. The Gruvbox design probably is better off without blur. And let us apply the wallpaper now. For the wallpaper, we are going to use Hyprpaper, but we also need a configuration for the wallpaper. So I'll just open the Hyper page and let us again open web browser. I don't know why I keep closing it. Here we have Firefox and let's search for Hyprpaper, config. This is the Hyprpaper wiki and I don't really know if it has the correct config. Okay, I think this is the configuration if I'm not wrong. Okay, just copy this and create a new item here. Okay, let's create a copy of this. Copy. Okay, next we have drop shadow. Now I've turned it off because it doesn't really look nice in this. So if I turn it back on, Control S. Yeah. Now if I launch Kitty and make it floating, you will notice the background, you have this shadow. But the problem is, for floating windows, it works pretty well. But if you have it just directly on other apps which are just set as styling, it doesn't look nice. So we can just turn this off, and as you can see, the background becomes more prominently visible. Now, we were probably trying to change the background. I think the recorder crashed over there. So let's continue and change the background. You need to create a config named hyprpaper.conf. I actually showed this there itself, and I copied the configuration from Hyprpaper or Hyprland wiki, which also gives you information about Hyprpaper and other wallpaper managers too, I guess. So you can just copy this and paste over there and change all the locations required accordingly. So if you don't have the config and try to launch Hyprpaper, okay, Hyprpaper, you will notice that it gives an output of what monitors you have. Right now I have the HDMI A2. By default you will get this, which is the DP one. So make sure you have the HDMI A2. I mean, not HDMI A2, the name of the monitor which you are using. So for my case it is HDMI A2. If you want to see it, just run Hyprpaper, you will get this output over here. Now we are going to copy it and paste it. Done. Now let's go back and keep this inside the Hyper folder. And now if we relaunch Hyprpaper, it will apply the wallpaper in the background. Okay. If you head over to at/uid5/wallpapers, you will get all the required wallpapers, images and everything which are installed if you use the auto installer script. Now it also applies for the other themes too. For example, here we have the other themes which also work in a similar manner. Okay, we have applied the wallpaper. Now I'll just shift this to some other place so that I can turn it off or on accordingly. The wallpaper is applied. Now let's include the Waybar. Okay, we have already installed Waybar, so we can just run Waybar from here. So Waybar, and we will get the required Waybar over here. But it doesn't look nice and does not go quite well with the current theme that we have. So what you can do is head over to .config/, okay, we don't have it over here. So let's go to other locations and let's search for okay, here we have the config and style.css. So I'm going to copy it, head back over to config and create a new folder named Waybar and copy all the required configs. This is basically the default configuration of Waybar, and we can now edit this. Okay, now you can launch Waybar by just running Waybar, and as you can see, it looks like this, like I showed you earlier. I don't really remember because my screen recorder crashed, so if it is already shown, I will remove this part. Anyway, this is our default config, but let us change the style. The nice part of theming Waybar is you get the style sheet available differently, so you can easily edit the colors and everything right from the style.css. Okay, from here I will be recording using this, which is basically my camera, because I'm very much frustrated since none of the screen recorders work properly over here, and I've tried a couple of them and they just keep crashing. So I just keep on recording thinking that it is working properly, but they just have crashed and it's not recording anything. So anyway, let's forget about it and let me show you about the Waybar part. Just head over to this repository and get all the files from there. Just git clone and enter the URL and you will get the files over there. Now I have already downloaded them using git clone, so I have them over here inside river wm. So let's open it using the file manager itself. So if we head over to home, river wm, and go to Waybar, river, these are the configs that we need. Get back to Waybar and delete the default configs and replace them with this. The only change that you need to do is basically rename them properly so it is understood by default by Waybar. So this is our new theme right now. It looks pretty nice, but I guess we can do some minor adjustments to make it look much better. Okay, first things first, if you click here, it launches the default Rofi. Now let's configure the Rofi later because it also has some work over there. And this is the leave button. It does not open anything because we do not have the Rofi installed properly for the leave button options. Anyway, let's remove this. This is quite unnecessary. So I'll open the config folder and I'll search for the gallery image, which is the custom wallpaper. Now saving it will not automatically reload like it was happening on Hyprland, but you have to exit by pressing Ctrl C and then reload it by running Waybar. Okay, it is already starting to look very neat, and the credit all goes to the original creator of this theme inside Waybar. There are some padding issues over here and also over here. I don't know if they are for design purposes or not, but yeah, it's pretty annoying for me. There's a border radius of 10. What we can do is just put another variable which is padding right and make sure the value is around 18. The same goes for padding left. That is all. Now if I restart, okay, it's too much, I think. Let's go 12, 12. So what I did was added some padding in the left and right side of this, so it looks nice. But I think we need to reduce the padding a little bit. So let us go for 10. Okay, I think now it looks better. The left side is okay, but for the right side, again, we need to do a little bit of change. So I think for the right side, we can increase it a little bit. Maybe 13 will be good for the right side. Sorry, not increase but decrease. I did it wrong. 7. Yeah, 7 looks fine. Okay, we need to add a module at the center. If you see, there is the river tags added at the center. Now it is meant for the river window manager, so it is added like this, river tags, but we need to add it for the Hyprland window manager. And what you can do is just again run Firefox from here. Okay, next we need to just search for Hyprland Waybar. So here we have the status bar page of the Hyprland wiki, and here you will get the Hyprland/workspaces page. I'm just going to copy all the code over here and get back to the main config area. Let me just increase the size of this page, and I'm just going to replace the entirety of river/tags with this one. Make sure to put the comma so that you maintain the JSON format and save it. Now we need to do a number of replacements again, so copy and replace the one that is over here with this. Paste. Save it and let us restart. As you can see, we now have this, which will let us change the workspaces. Now the workspaces are appearing according to the fact whether they are active and in use or not. If we have one workspace, it won't really look nice. So what we need to do is, again, let's go to the Waybar wiki and see if we have any option for that. So here we have the workspaces page, and this is the persistent workspaces. We need to add this one. Now if we move down, here we have the format for the persistent workspaces. I'm just going to copy the persistent workspaces option, head back to this page and add this one. Done. Again, put the comma so you maintain the JSON format, and I'm just going to remove this one so we don't have anything like that. And let's remove the comment. Done. Now I'm just going to quit and restart, and as you can see, we have 5 workspaces which will be persistently shown over here. So I can move to workspace 3, which is currently empty. Now you might be wondering that it doesn't look according to the style that we opted for. Also, there are some problems. You don't have most of the stuff over here. For that, you need to go to style.css and change a couple of things. That is, replace all the tags with workspaces, so they are all formatted accordingly. Now if I restart, you will notice that it has the correct formatting now. I think by mistake we deleted the custom/launcher page too. I don't know what problem came up here that it stopped showing most of the stuff, but let's see if we can recover again. Yeah, now it is fine. Okay, let's again put this tag, this one. Oh, there was an extra close bracket which caused the problem. Let's get back and paste it correctly. Remove this line, and now it should be working fine. Nice. Now you will notice there is a lot of gap over here. Basically, you need to go to workspaces, buttons, just the normal one, and override the padding left and right. So padding left 0, padding right 0. Save it, restart Waybar, and as you can see, the padding is fixed properly. Okay, for the next step, we need to fix the padding over here and here. So again, head back to style.css, which consists of all the padding related informations, and let's see what can be done. I think this is named as launcher, if I'm not wrong. So here we have the custom launcher, and we have the padding left set as 10 and the padding right set as 5. So that is causing the issue. Also, the font size is too big for me, so I will just change it to something like 18 pixels and see if it works fine or not. Oops. Yeah, I think it looks much better with the smallest font size. Now let's change the padding. Let's increase the right padding to match the left padding so it looks better. And also, let us remove the unnecessary space which has been added after the logo. Looks much nicer now. I don't really understand how it looks because the screen is angled for me. If it is still having some padding or size related problems, it will be fixed in the final config that will be released. Okay, even the volume works properly over here, which is great. Next is the logout logo, which also has the similar problem. So let us search for power. Okay, here we have power, and let's do one thing. Let's change this to not 18 but 20, so it will match the power button, right? And here also we have the uneven padding, so let's change the padding again, remove the space towards the right side, and restart Waybar. See, now it looks better with the even padding all over the place. Now you might be wondering, why is there the Arch logo in Fedora, since I'm running Fedora. So what you can do is just search for Fedora Unicode. Fedora Unicode. I found it from the Reddit page. A quick search will give you that. So here we have the logo. Get back here and replace the Arch logo with the Fedora logo. Save it, restart. Now see, we have the correct logo for this. Now if you want, you can also use something else, a different logo if you want that also works fine. But yeah. Okay, right now you can do two different things. That is, just leave the CSS file as it is like this and don't do anything. Okay, check for updates not found. There's a module, so let's remove the custom updates module. These two are not present, so I think it's best to remove them. And let's restart and see if we are getting the problem. Okay, fine. As I was telling you, that you can do two different things. That is, leave this just the way it is because it is looking fine with the background, I think. Or you can do a little bit more of editing. So I'll just make a new folder with the selection, and let's name the folder as Waybar colors. Nice. Let's copy and paste them over here. The next, we are going to use the Gruvbox color scheme. Now for that, I'm going to use the borders, because the borders are there. As you can see, there's quite a bit of borders. So even in the widgets, I'm going to use the borders. In the final, I need to remove this and this. So it works fine. And I think we don't need to copy the config. The config remains the same, right? What changes is actually the style.css. So we can safely close the config as of now and just focus on the style.css part. So, okay, let's keep the backup for the time being. If it is required later, we don't know. Back to their page. Let's head over to the styling page and let's search for border and see how borders are defined. Here we have one definition of border. I'll just copy this one. Copy, head back. Wait a second. So tooltip is not defined. That's why it's looking a bit alien over here, with some uneven borders and everything. So we can actually define the tooltip too, like here. So I'll just copy this part and it's placed right after window Waybar. So let's paste it here, save it and restart. Okay, as you can see, now we are getting something. Let's change the border to be 0 pixels. Does it work? It works, but there is still a weird background which I don't really like. Okay, now we have... Still it is having the weird background. But anyway, I think this looks fine because the background is gone. At least it looks better. Okay, now let's change the other stuff. Now let's copy this and paste it here because we updated the style a little bit. Done. Now I'm going to add the same border to other parts. Now you can just remove this because the border is basically not there, or just replace this with the word none. It also works fine. But the same for the background. I think you can replace it with the word none. So yeah, this is how it looks. Okay, for the next step, I'm going to start adding some borders. We have to add it individually. For example, here in Pulse Audio, I can add it like this. Let us just configure Pulse Audio, which is this one, and see how it looks. Now we need to make sure the background color is set to be darker because it won't look nice with the bright color. For changing the colors, I won't be editing from here. I'm going to launch an instance of evolve to change the colors of the CSS file. I think you remember I created something known as the CSS editor, which helped you edit the CSS colors using a graphical user interface format. But that was removed and the code was included inside evolve, so I removed it, and it was basically meant for changing the colors of themes. But however, when I removed it, you couldn't change colors of normal CSS files, but I added a feature back in evolve which is going to use the same algorithm for doing all the stuff, but you can manually select the file. I don't know why it launches Dolphin over here, maybe because I have it installed, but yeah, leave it. It's related to my app, it's not related to the designing of the theming part. Okay, so we need to head over to .config show hidden .config / Waybar and style.css. As you can see, we have all the colors over here, and you can definitely see which part is relating to what. This is here, this is here, this is here, and this is the green part, the yellow part is this. All of them are defined properly. And we need to change all the colors to something that is a bit on the darker side. So I had actually recorded myself changing all the colors, but I think it will make the video extremely long, and by long I mean unnecessarily long. So I'm just going to show you the final colors over here, so you can just easily change them from the Evolve app. It isn't very difficult. So these are the final colors over here. And now let's start with the con key. Open Firefox, search for Rofi themes. There's a huge collection of Rofi themes which has a number of custom applets and everything. I'm going to get it. Every time I create a theme pack, it's always I get my Rofi themes from here. It's such a nice page. Just run this. Just wait for a few seconds for the copying to complete, download to complete. And now we cd into Rofi. Great. Now what you can do is just run setup.sh, which is going to take care of all the stuff. So setup.sh. Technically it copies all the Rofi configs to the Rofi directory. So now if I go to .config / Rofi, whoops, sorry. Here we have all of them. Now inside launchers, there's a type known as type 7, sorry. Yeah. And if I start the launcher.sh, this is how it looks. Now I know the colors don't look the best, and I'm going to show you how to edit the colors properly, and also how to change this thing, the corners, the border radius, so it looks better. Let's close this and launch an instance of the file manager .config Rofi, and inside launchers type 1, not type 1, sorry, type 7, and this is launcher.sh. Open with text editor. Here we have them. Now it is using the theme that is style 1, basically this one, I think. Yeah, it contains all the colors and everything. Now what you can do is very simple. Again, we need evolve over here, so let's run evolve. Now the CSS editor that is present in evolve can be used for opening other sorts of file too. Just open this folder which is present inside, not a folder, but basically the file. So it's present inside .config. Again, we need to go to .config and search for Rofi. Here we have Rofi, launchers, type 7, and style1.rasi. And as you can see, it easily launches the style1.rasi file, and you can see all the colors present over there. You can also turn this on to see the color codes, but we probably won't be needing it. Okay, just change the hue to this, Now again we have editing colors, so I'm going to skip this part and show you the final color change or the result. So you can again copy all the colors using the Evolve app. It is a pretty straightforward way for changing colors in any file or config. Okay, so right inside the Rofi folder, there is the power menu too. So we need to link it with the Waybar. But before that, we also need to change the colors of the power menu and also change the image that they have used so that it matches with the current theme that we are opting for. Done, apply, and now let's launch this again. Now it is working. Now we just need to change this image. Let's open style1.rossi and change it with the one that we were using previously, that is inside here. Just copy this and paste the location. Done. Save, relaunch, and as you can see, it is using the correct colors in the background. Okay. Now it's time to add this URL or the location to the config. So go back to config, Waybar again, and here we have the config page. And for the custom or power, we are going to just add this line, paste it. And if you want, you can also change this to something else like a short form notation. I don't know if that is the name of this, but anyway. Now relaunch Waybar. And if I click this, now it will launch the power menu. That is all for this video. Let's change the Rofi too. I'm not really satisfied with the launcher Rofi. Go back to launchers, type 7, style1.rossi, replace it with this. This is how it looks like, but for the background, I would like to change it to something else, like the color that was used there. Let's directly copy the color codes from here. It's the same, right? So I think it should be working. Save it, and now, yeah, it uses the correct color codes. But for this, I think a different color would look better because it's mixing with the background. Here we have the button selected. So for the background color, it's using the button selected color. Let's not use that. Instead, this is the selected color, so copy it. And let us launch color picker. This is the color getting used for the foreground color. We want something different. For the background, they are using the background alt color. So this is the background alt. Let's use a lighter variant of the background alt. Lighter and less saturated. Let's change the hue a little bit. Nice. This is the color we have now. Done. Now if I launch it, it uses that color. So that is all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Do like, share and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.